Hello everyone, this is Bigalski.
And this is GTB.
And this is kind of a little tutorial I had on my Xbox One clips of how to use X+A A to your advantage to control fights. Now for the most part, every time you X+A A and land, you can automatically XY into an Azuna drop. I mean, there are a few occasions where if an enemy is close where you might target somebody else. But I've seen a lot of people throwing shurikens and flying swallowing and thinking that that's the best way to control fights. But I firmly believe that X+A A is, and that is the win path, or the win run, we believe, is the X+A.
It's in the moves list.
Yeah, it's in the moves list.
I'm not sure which order it is. You would think we would know.
Right. We just call it X+A. Now notice I'm still holding block. That's the reason I'm not absorbing the essence, and then I release block in order to do it. And also, if you notice when I come in, I always roll kind of one way and then jump back towards them with X+A. That way, if there's any, I guess, essence around, I don't absorb it. That's like right there.
Yeah.
You know, instead of going straight into it. And sometimes if you're really close when you X+A, you usually jump over their head.
Yeah. Also, it's worth noting, you don't have to use X+A. It just makes it a lot easier because Ryu just, he'll jump towards that enemy automatically. You can just use this in regular jumps. So, let's say you've got like 3 enemies out, and there's a specific enemy you want to jump off their head off to stun them. Like, you can angle your jump intentionally and then just press A as you pass over them to jump off their head.
See, that's probably more advanced for me. That's the reason I like the X+A, because I know I'm going towards somebody.
Yeah.
I laugh at Weeble when he's like, Al, can't you even just run straight? No. If I can't run straight, there's no way I'm going to jump straight. And also, whenever you knock somebody down, I like rolling towards them and fiend sealing them, because if there's somebody else close by, you end up doing like the Blade of the Undefeatable or whatever the hold Y move is.
The worst move in the game.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
it's
again,
funny, just note, like, we say jump off their head, but if you look, he actually jumps off their shoulders, but you know what we mean. Right.
See, that right there is one of the moves. So now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, and probably one of the best counterattack X into an Azuna drop. I just love that.
Yeah, it's so good. It almost feels like a proper string because it's just so natural to do. And by that I mean, like, that's not in the moves list. Like, it's just the first hit of counter X, and then you just follow up with forward Y into an Azuna drop. In Ninja Gaiden
forward
2,
Y means towards the enemy, by the way.
In Ninja Gaiden 2, like, you can actually do that. Like, you can actually rotate Y into an Azuna drop, which is a very, very similar technique. But in this game, it is actually 2 separate moves.
So, I wall clinged and ended up getting hit off that wall cling instead of throwing the shuriken. So again, to avoid those wall clings, and you're close to the wall, what does this do as I say, not as I do?
Yeah.
And that's how you prevent all that. And also, if I was just kind of running and doing some flying swallowing and I missed those guys with the shurikens, boy, they can really do some damage on you.
Yeah, that's one interesting thing to note about X+A and A. It's a little bit more technical, but you will notice whenever you do it, the enemies are stunned for a significant amount of time. Like, it takes them a long time to recover from you jumping off them. So use that to your advantage, because even for like a second and a half, it takes an enemy out of the equation. You don't have to worry about that enemy for a second. So,
See how I hit that pillar that I didn't think I was going to hit, and then that kind of messed me up. And then I think I tried to ET the guy, and I hit the pillar again. Yeah.
One thing interesting to note about shurikens as well, shurikens are not always a guaranteed stun on cat fiends. Sometimes they'll just armor straight through them. So sometimes you can stun them, but if you're banking on a shuriken to like stuff them and they just armor it, then they're going to hit you.
So there's me missing my, sometimes I'll hit XX really fast instead of XY. So super rusty, but at least it, kind of shows the point. And the other thing I was going to say is being able to X+A towards a guy and stunning him, that really, you can decide who you want to fight. If it's the Grenadier guy, then you can run towards him, stun the other guys to get towards him, or run towards him so he won't be shooting the grenades anymore. You can really pick your battles with using this move.
Yeah. Also, again, maybe a bit more technical, but when you do X+A, if you want to not do XY, you meant like that right there. You mentioned at the start of the video, if there's another enemy around, you do still have enough time to just roll towards the enemy and forward Y them, and you'll still hit them.
Right. See, I'll always like coming back with the XY, but like you said, being able to know when. Notice I wasn't, absorbing that essence.
Yeah.
And then I have to finish it off. I just love that. Now, if you're going to counter Y, which kind of rotates the blade, and then it, knocks them on the ground, again, roll towards them and do the Fiend Sealer. Because if there's anybody else, even though you might be kind of close to them where you think the Fiend Sealer is going to hit, and it doesn't hit, you could be in trouble.
Even sometimes, just depending on the enemy, Ryu will just not Fiend Sealer them. It's just one of those things. Like, roll towards them and just hold down Y, and then more often than not, you'll get your Fiend Sealer.
So the purpose of this video was really, once you get a little bit of a hang of the mechanics and how it all works, trying to rely on shurikens to stun enemies and wall jumping and flying swallows, that may be fun and normal, maybe even hard, but it's not going to get you through some of the harder levels. Like I, made in this comment. Try throwing shurikens and trying to flying swallow at some of the military armored guy or a berserker and see what happens.
Yeah, and also it's kind of obvious to state it, but even the armored commandos, they're completely shuriken immune. So, it's not going to work on them at all. Even incendiaries won't get those. So they might get the soldiers, like the regular soldiers, but the ones that actually have armor on, the only thing that's going to hit them projectile wise is arrows.
And also using the X+A, again, I keep saying it a lot, but again, I forget if it's the wind path or the wind run. It's a combination of wind path and wind run. You can do that for the zombies. If you're struggling with the zombies down in the ritual room, you can do that on the ogres. You can do that on the dinosaurs.
I think you can do it on the berserkers. Every enemy in the game. Yeah, the only enemy you can't jump off is ghostfish, pillbugs, and the wasp fiends, right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. If there's
and obviously the fish in chapter 11, obviously them as well.
Right.
But yeah, I think they're the only enemies you can't jump off the heads on. And horses, actually. You can't even... Which doesn't make any sense, really. You should be able to jump off the horses. Imagine how sick that would be.
You start riding it around and shooting your arrows at the guys. So again, practice this move. It'll really help you in the game and as far as, UTs, how not to absorb essence. Remember to keep your trigger on as you're roll jumping, doing the X+A, so you don't absorb any essence, because whenever you on landing, that's when you release. I think you can still keep the block on right whenever you do the on landing, as long as you're pressing Y.
You can.
That'll do the. Yeah. So anyway, hope that helps.
That's really hard to do, but it is possible. It's worth noting. That's extremely difficult, but you can do that.
Yeah. So hope this helped everyone, and we'll see you in the next video. Y'all take care.
Take care, everybody. Peace.